In 1976, Richard Donner directed the highly acclaimed horror film The Omen. It was one of the few horror films to actually win an Academy Award, along with other films at the time like Rosemary's Baby, The Exorcist, Jaws, Alien, and a couple others. It received unanimous praise from not only general audiences, but from critics as well, which is almost unheard of, even now. Due to the unanimous praise and the bank it made at the box office, a sequel was greenlit. But due to Donner filming Superman the movie at the time, he was replaced by Mike Hodges. However, due to the fact that producers thought his methods were too slow for a film like this, he was replaced with Don Taylor. However, a bunch of his work was still in the final film, so he received a story credit. I was intrigued with where the story would go after the first film, and although the ending of the first film promised something entirely different, along with David Seltzer's own version of a sequel, this was a pretty damn good sequel. It is very slow moving, but somehow I was intrigued throughout despite this. Jonathan Scott Taylor actually did a fairly good job in the role as Damien, but I feel like his development from regular teen to realizing who he is was not handled well. Plus, the whole point of this movie was the themes of what Damien is going through to be an allegory for puberty, and it was not as well written as it could have been. I feel like there were small scenes where this theme was brought up but never mentioned again until the next point it had to be brought up, if that makes sense. But I still like Damien's journey throughout the movie despite the fact it could have been written a lot better. As I stated, I was pretty much intrigued throughout with how things would go as it seemed. I wouldn't say unpredictable, but unsure of what the next beat would be. It was rather conventional, but I didn't know what type of convention this would play out as, again, if that makes sense. The deaths are definitely sillier here and played out a lot longer than in the previous film. In the first film, they were pretty disturbing with how quick they played out and the consequences and impact were felt through the rest of the movie. Here, I felt like the producers wanted to make it like a typical slasher flick, before slasher flicks were technically a thing. I just felt the deaths were drawn out too much and they got less and less scary as time went on. Some were downright hilarious and incredibly overacted. I would say those are the worst parts of the movie. But I do feel like, outside of the deaths, it does feel similar in tone to the first film, and it's definitely certainly better than it has any right to be. The subplot with Paul Burr was weirdly interesting as well. Even though business dealings shouldn't be interesting, here somehow it was. Plus, Goldsmith's score is fucking amazing, although it is superior in the first film. To be perfectly honest, I'd recommend this one. It's a solid, intriguing movie with really good acting all around, has great music, and a worthy sequel to the original. It's not amazing by any means, but it's certainly pretty damn good. Plus, Lance Henriksen is always a win.